What happens when a millionaire CEO trades his suit for a janitor's cart just to find out who's stealing dollar bills from pillowcases? Kellan Knox didn't want the company, but he took it when his father died. 14 motels across 3 states, built from scratch over 30 years. It was a lot to juggle, and Kellan had leaned too hard on his district managers. He hadn't stepped foot in half the properties since the funeral 3 years ago. But lately, something didn't sit right. Occupancy was steady, reviews were tanking. A few staff complaints had come through about harsh treatment, and one motel in particular, Store 9 in Arkansas, had the highest turnover rate by far. His district manager, Joel, brushed it off as bad locals and lazy hires. Kellan didn't like that answer. He had never met the staff at Store 9 personally. Most of the newer hires didn't even know what he looked like. So he made a call. He got a friend to list a fake cleaning job at the motel through a third-party agency. Then he shaved the beard, dyed his hair darker, wore thick glasses, and added a few fake tattoos. Kel, he introduced himself on day 1. A new trainee housekeeper, hired to help with weekend turnover. Nobody blinked. The motel was short 2 housekeepers and 1 front desk agent. A flu outbreak had wiped out half the staff 2 weeks ago, and the manager hadn't replaced anyone. Budget's tight, one of the night clerks said. Kel, room 230's yours, said a short woman with faded jeans and hair tied back in a bun. Don't forget gloves. Sheets are nasty. Her name was Felicity Kramer. She moved fast, didn't waste words, but smiled when she saw Kellan struggling with the fitted sheets. You ever done this before? She asked, raising an eyebrow. Not professionally, he said, chuckling. She laughed. Figures. You fold like my nephew. He's 5. Hours passed sweaty, exhausting hours. Kellan had no idea how much physical work went into each room. Felicity finished rooms twice as fast, but always double-checked his. She corrected him gently, never made him feel stupid. He heard her cough a few times, rough and dry. She looked tired, but she didn't complain once. In the break room, she scarfed a granola bar and checked a notebook stuffed in her apron. What's that? He asked.
Tip log, she said.
We split them weekly. For taxes. Manager wants everything on paper. That stuck with him. Honest work. Fair split. Later that afternoon, Kellan was emptying trash in the hallway when he saw a man in a polo shirt step into one of the newly cleaned rooms.
It was the supervisor, Martin.
He walked in, looked around, then reached under the pillow and pulled out a $5 bill. Kellan froze. Martin shoved the bill in his pocket, checked the corners of the sheets, then walked out without a word. Felicity walked past seconds later. Room 230 done? She asked. Yeah, Kellan said, staring at the door Martin had just left. Felicity smiled. Guest left a tip. Guy in that room always does.
Good sign.
Kellan's stomach turned. He followed Martin back toward the laundry room. Hey, he said, keeping his voice steady. You just checked that room? Martin barely looked at him.
Yeah.
Quality check. Standard. Find anything?
Kellan asked.
Martin shrugged. Nope. Just a mess. Kellan clenched his jaw, but said nothing. He couldn't blow cover.
Not yet.
Back in the break room, Felicity started logging the supposed tip from room 230. How much? She asked. $5, he said. She nodded and scribbled it down.
Nice.
That'll help. My daughter's birthday's next week. Saving up for a cake. He looked at her, heart sinking. She had no idea. That night, he booked a room in the motel under a fake name and left a $10 bill clearly visible on the nightstand. The next morning, when he returned to clean it, the bill was gone before anyone else entered. He watched from around the corner. Martin again. Kellan's hands curled into fists. He didn't sleep that night. He paced, sat with his thoughts, wrote names down. Felicity, the front desk clerk who stayed late, the maintenance guy who fixed a leak in room 107 without complaint, and Martin. He had to be sure.
One more day.
One more setup. Then he'd end it. The next morning, Kellan arrived early, just after sunrise. The parking lot was nearly empty, still wet from last night's rain. He leaned against the side of the building, watching the side entrance. Martin's car pulled in 20 minutes later, same time as the day before. Kellan noted the routine. No coffee, no clipboard, just a keycard swipe and a glance at his phone. Inside, the lobby lights flickered to life. The front desk monitor blinked awake. Kellan stepped into the laundry room, where Felicity was already sorting linens. She moved a bit slower today. Her left hand trembled slightly when she lifted a basket. "You all right?"
Kellan asked.
She nodded without turning. "Didn't sleep much." Water heater went out at home. Been boiling water on the stove. He didn't know what to say to that. Instead, he grabbed fresh sheets and followed her out. They split the rooms by floor. She took the upper level. He stayed on the ground floor. That gave him a clear view of the room he'd booked the night before. He left another 10 under the lamp. Same spot. Camera hidden in the corner, angled just right. It was a cheap motion trigger device, disguised inside a wall air freshener. He'd planted it before checkout. By noon, the room had been inspected, and the bill was gone. Kellan waited until Martin stepped outside for a smoke, then slipped into the vacant room and retrieved the camera. He reviewed the footage in the storage closet where nobody would interrupt him. There it was. Martin entered with gloves on, looked around briefly, then walked straight to the lamp and pocketed the cash. No hesitation. He didn't even pretend to check the sheets. Kellan closed the video and stared at the wall. His jaw set. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was deliberate, and it had likely been going on for months. Back in the main hallway, Felicity waited by the cleaning cart. She was writing something in the notebook again. "Hey," Kellan said. "How long's Martin been here?" She glanced up. "Couple years, I think. Came in after the last guy quit." "Why?" "Just wondering," he said, trying to keep his tone even. "He ever do room inspections before?" "Not really." She paused. "Lately he's been showing up more. Said he's making sure we're not cutting corners. I told him we weren't. He still checks." "You ever notice tips missing?" Kellan asked carefully. Her eyes narrowed. "Once last week. I thought I was just tired." "You think someone's taking them?" Kellan didn't answer. She folded her arms. "Is it Martin?" He hesitated but didn't lie. "I'm looking into it." Felicity sighed. "Figures. I knew something was wrong. Just didn't want to believe it." A door slammed down the hall. Shouting followed. They both turned. It came from room 112. Kellan jogged down the hallway. A guest was standing outside the open door, red-faced, yelling at a young desk agent barely out of high school. Her name tag read Jada. "I've told you 3 times my AC isn't working," the man barked. "Do you people even care?" Jada looked overwhelmed. "Sir, I logged the maintenance request this morning. Our tech is, don't give me excuses. I paid for this room, and I expect it to work." Kellan stepped between them. "Sir, I can run and grab a fan from storage. It's not a fix, but it'll help for now." The man blinked. "And who the hell are you?" "Maintenance," Kellan lied smoothly. "Temporary. But I'll get that fan." The guest muttered something under his breath, but stepped back inside. Kellan turned to Jada. "You okay?" She nodded slowly, blinking fast. "He's been yelling all morning. I told Martin, but he said to ignore him." Kellan clenched his jaw. "Get some water. I'll handle this." He went to storage, grabbed a fan, and set it up in the guest's room. The man didn't thank him, but at least he stopped yelling. Back at the front desk, Jada was on the verge of tears. "Martin leaves the desk uncovered for hours," she said quietly. "Sometimes I don't even get a lunch break. He says we're over budget, but we're short-staffed every shift." Kellan nodded slowly. "Who else works front desk?" Just me and Devon, she said. He's off today. We're supposed to have a third, but she quit last month. Can't blame her. The lobby door opened and Martin walked in, brushing crumbs off his shirt. I told you to stop whining to guests, he snapped at Jada. If you can't handle a little pressure, that's enough, Kellan said. Martin turned. Excuse me? You heard me, Kellan said, stepping forward. You've got a staff of 3 covering 6 positions. You're stealing tips. You've been harassing employees. You're done. Martin laughed. You don't even work here. You're a temp cleaner. Kellan pulled the ID from his back pocket.
Real one this time.
Not the fake. Kellan Knox. Owner. Silence. Jada's mouth dropped open. Felicity stepped in from the hallway just as Martin's face drained of color. You're lying, Martin said, voice cracking. Kellan handed him the ID. You want to explain the $5 bills? Or the 10 from room 126 this morning? Martin's hands shook. You don't understand, man. Corporate cuts are killing us. I needed the extra. Then you ask for a raise. You don't steal from single moms and college kids. Martin stepped back. Look, I can fix this. You're not fixing anything. You're leaving.
Now.
I already called corporate HR. Your access is revoked, and the police have the footage. Martin glanced around, desperate. Nobody spoke. He walked out without another word. Kellan turned to Jada. You're not alone anymore. She nodded, tears finally spilling. He looked over at Felicity, who just stood quietly, arms folded, watching. I'll get a replacement manager flown in by morning, Kellan said. Until then, I'll stay on shift. No one's working alone. Felicity's voice was low. That's the first time someone said that in a while. Kellan didn't reply. He just picked up a vacuum and got back to work. By the next morning, corporate security had remotely revoked Martin's access codes. His nameplate was removed from the office door by 8. The regional HR representative, a woman named Leanne Barnes, arrived from Little Rock just after noon. She met Kellan in the cramped back office and reviewed the footage and statements. After a 10-minute conversation, she nodded once and quietly began drafting termination paperwork.
No drama, no appeals.
The evidence was too clear. Kellan stepped out into the hallway. His work shirt was still damp from the morning shift. Felicity passed by carrying a vacuum hose over one shoulder and a rolled bath mat under the other. You all right? She asked without slowing.
Getting there, he said.
You. She gave a tired shrug. Nothing new. Just less irritating now. He didn't push. She was already doing more than she should and didn't need another conversation to carry. He headed to the front desk to check on Jada. She was on the phone with a guest, trying to explain the difference between early check-in and full-day rates. Her voice was more confident than the day before. Her posture firmer. Kellan waited until she hung up, then leaned on the counter. Devon coming in tonight? Yeah. He's on at 4. It'll be the first time in weeks I don't close alone. Make sure you take your full break, he said. And we've got HR here today. She'll want to check in with you privately. Jada hesitated. Is she, like, on our side? Kellan didn't smile. She answers to me. That means she listens to you. Jada nodded slowly.
All right.
I'll talk to her. As she stepped away to prepare the cash drawer, Kellan turned to the maintenance log pinned behind the counter. 3 unresolved issues, 2 HVAC complaints, and a broken vending machine on the second floor. He grabbed the key ring and headed upstairs. The hallway was warm, stuffy. The HVAC in room 211 wasn't circulating. He knocked before entering. The guest, a retired trucker with a baseball cap and a deep smoker's rasp, waved him in without getting up. Thermostat's been blinking since I checked in. No cold air. Kellan opened the panel, traced the wiring, and spotted a disconnected sensor. Someone had yanked it loose probably while trying to force the cover open. He fixed it in 3 minutes flat. As he left, the guest nodded. You're the first guy to fix something without making excuses. Trying to change that, Kellan said. He returned to the back office to find Leanne seated across from Felicity. The door was open, but the conversation was quiet. Felicity's hands rested in her lap, fingers twined tightly. Kellan didn't interrupt. Instead, he stepped out to the lot and called the regional operations lead. "We need a new manager on site starting tomorrow," he said. "Someone internal. No transfers from outside. I want someone who's earned it." The voice on the other end hesitated. "We don't have many who've run a property before." "Then find someone who's earned the chance. Not someone who's coasting." He hung up and turned just as Devon arrived for his shift. Tall, soft-spoken, and always early. He gave Kellan a quick nod and entered through the side door. Inside, the lobby felt calmer than it had in days. No raised voices.
No slammed doors.
Kellan spotted a new tip envelope on the front desk, sealed and labeled with the date. He flipped it open, $3 and a note inside from a recent guest thanking Housekeeping by name. He slid it into the logbook without a word. That night, he stayed late. He sat in the vacant office, watching the hallway cameras not for theft this time, but for signs of who was stepping up. Devon helped Jada organize the key inventory between check-ins. Felicity took on a new trainee without being asked. The maintenance guy, Luis, fixed a cracked tile near the vending machine without logging it. He just saw it, grabbed tools, and handled it. At 9, he walked the perimeter. Trash was off the lot. Side doors locked. No loiterers near the dumpsters. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. The next morning, Leanne handed him a folder. "Felicity's file," she said. "I checked her history. Clean record. Highest guest rating of any housekeeping staff in the region. No write-ups. No late clock-ins." Kellan flipped through the papers. "Why is she still on hourly?" "No reason that makes sense," Leanne said. "She's been overlooked." "Not anymore." He found her cleaning room 120. She was scrubbing the tub with her sleeves rolled to her elbows, knuckles red from the chemicals. "You got a second?" he asked. She stood, brushing back a strand of hair. "If it's about the new girl, she's solid. Just needs to slow down." "It's not that. I need a manager." She blinked. "You're joking." "I'm not. You're respected. You know the team. You've done the work. I'll start you on a trial basis. Extra pay, full benefits, and authority to hire." She didn't speak for a long second. Then, "What if I mess it up?" "You've already been running the place. This just makes it official." Her voice was quiet. "I need Sundays off. My daughter dances at church." "Done." Felicity nodded once.
All right.
At check-in that night, she wore a navy polo shirt with the motel's logo stitched cleanly across the chest. She didn't say much, but her presence changed the tone immediately. Staff straightened up when she walked by, not out of fear, but out of respect. Later that evening, Kellan sat at the back of the break room, listening. Felicity was at the table, reviewing schedules with Jada and Devon. They debated shift swaps, time-off requests, and how to cover the desk during slow hours. Everyone spoke freely. No one raised their voice. Jada pointed to the Saturday schedule. "If I come in 2 hours early, Devon can leave in time for his class." Felicity nodded. "That works. But you'll take a comp day next week."
No negociable.
Kellan didn't interrupt. He just listened, arms folded. As he walked toward the exit, Devon caught up to him near the vending machines. "You really own the place?" His voice was quiet, curious.
Yeah.
"I thought owners didn't care about places like this." "Some don't," Kellan replied. "But I grew up around these motels. I watched my dad build them. He used to say, 'You can't run a place you've never cleaned.'"
Devon nodded slowly.
"My uncle runs a diner. Says the same thing." Kellan offered a half-smile. "Smart guy." He stepped outside and looked back at the building. The neon sign buzzed faintly. A couple of guests stepped out to smoke, chatting quietly.
No scouting.
No tension in the air. Just a tired, working motel, trying to do better. As he crossed the lot, his phone buzzed. A message from the regional ops lead. Found someone internal for the other troubled property in Texas. Want the file? Kellan typed back, not until I visit it myself. He slipped the phone into his pocket and kept walking. By the end of the week, Kellan had moved out of the guest room and into a bare-bones office on the second floor. Nothing fancy, just a desk, a folding chair, a cot, and a stack of service reports. He wasn't leaving yet. Not until the foundation was solid. The motel was still understaffed, but now everyone knew exactly where they stood. Schedules were transparent. Overtime was tracked and paid. Tip logs were audited daily. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Felicity had stepped into the manager role with a quiet steadiness that grounded the team. She didn't bark orders, didn't hover. She delegated. She coached. She listened. When Devon's cousin was rushed to the hospital, she covered his evening shift herself. When Jada froze on a call with a guest asking about ADA compliance, Felicity calmly walked her through it without taking over. They were still short one front desk agent and one full-time cleaner. Kellan approved the hiring requests immediately, but referrals took time. In the meantime, he rolled up his sleeves alongside everyone else. One night, while restocking the linen cart, Luis approached him in the corridor. "You fixing to stay long?" he asked, balancing a bucket of grout. "Few more days," Kellan said. "Want to make sure this place doesn't slide back the second I leave."
Luis nodded.
"Place feels different now. Like someone's watching, but not in a bad way." Kellan didn't respond right away. He handed over a fresh box of air filters. "I don't want anyone here thinking they're invisible," he said. The next morning, Felicity called a quick staff huddle before the first shift. It wasn't a speech, just a check-in. She stood by the service door with a clipboard, asking what supplies were low, who needed time off, what rooms had repeat maintenance issues. Kellan stayed quiet, listening from the back. When the meeting broke, Devon caught up with him near the vending machine downstairs. "Hey, I've been finishing a business course online," he said. "Nothing big. Just a certificate. I was wondering." He hesitated. "Do you ever promote front desk staff into ops?" Kellan nodded. "If they've got the discipline and the people skills, yeah. It's harder than it looks." "You interested in shadowing Felicity for a few weeks?" Devon's face lit up. "I'd like that. Then I'll talk to her. We'll set a schedule that doesn't mess with your classes." Kellan didn't make promises lightly, but Devon had earned the chance. That afternoon, Leanne returned from the regional office. She asked to walk the property with Kellan, just a routine site review. They moved room by room, inspecting door latches, checking fire extinguishers, noting peeling paint and worn carpet. At one point, they paused on the stairwell landing. "You know," she said, "when Joel ran this district, he never once visited this location in person." Kellan didn't look at her. "He won't be running it anymore." She raised an eyebrow. "You letting him go?" "Already did. He signed the release this morning. I'm not building anything on rot." As they stepped into the common area, Felicity was helping the new trainee scrub a stain from the hallway carpet. Her knee was pressed into the floor, back bent, showing the new girl how to blot instead of rub. She didn't notice them watching. Leanne tilted her head slightly. "You sure she's ready for full management?"
"She's already managing," Kellan said.
"We just caught up to her." That evening, Kellan called a staff meeting in the lobby. No suits, no podium. Just everyone sitting on folding chairs with half-empty coffee cups and tired shoulders. "I wanted to say something before I head out," he began. "I came here because I didn't like what I was hearing. Reviews were dropping and people were quitting. But what I found wasn't broken people. It was a broken system." He looked around the room. "You all showed up. Every day. You worked late. You covered each other. You held this place together while people above you looked the other way." A few heads dipped. No one spoke. "That's over," he said. "Starting next week, we're increasing base pay by $2 an hour across the board." Benefits packages are being restructured so part-timers can qualify after 90 days. And we're starting a quarterly bonus tied to guest satisfaction scores, because if you're the reason someone comes back, you deserve more than a pat on the back. Jada's eyes widened. Devon turned slightly in his seat, processing. I'm also rolling out a new program to train internal candidates for leadership positions. No more parachuting in managers who've never worked a shift here. He paused, letting that settle. I came to this place undercover. That's not something I'm proud of, but it was necessary.
I saw things I needed to see.
Some of them were ugly, but most of what I saw was resilience. I don't want to fix this place for you. I want to fix it with you. He looked over at Felicity. She gave a small nod, barely perceptible. That was enough. The next morning, Kellan packed his things quietly. He didn't make a scene. No long goodbyes. As he loaded his bag into the rental car, Felicity walked up beside him. She held a manila envelope, new hire forms, vendor contacts, next month's maintenance budget. You forgot these, she said, handing them over. He took the envelope but didn't open it. You've got this.
I do, she said.
He nodded once. If you ever need anything, resources, staff backup, whatever, you call me directly. I'm done with layers. She raised an eyebrow. You sure you want me cutting out the whole chain of command? Absolutely. As he opened the car door, she added, by the way, Devon's going to be good. He's green, but he's paying attention. I know, Kellan said. Just make sure he doesn't skip steps. I won't let him. He nodded, started the engine, and pulled away without fanfare. Behind him, the motel sign flickered from red to blue, then steadied. A few guests stepped outside with luggage. The staff moved like they always had, quiet, efficient, no wasted motion. Only now, they weren't surviving. They were rebuilding. Kellan glanced once in the rearview mirror, then kept driving. He had another property to visit, but this time, he wouldn't wait for things to fall apart. He'd walk the halls before the damage was done. Because now he understood something his father had always known. You don't fix a business from behind a desk. You fix it face to face, floor by floor, side by side.